I'm sure you've all heard by now that Errol Spence has been forced to withdraw from his bout against Manny Pacquiao, which was scheduled for August the 21st, I believe it was. Yes, August the 21st. And this is apparently due to a torn retina. Now, this is a very, very serious injury for a boxer, as you all should know. Careers have been ended due to retinal tears and certainly detached retinas. Now, I'm no expert on eye injuries and what have you, but having followed boxing over the years, having personally known some people whose careers were ended due to eye injuries, I know that this can be very serious, and obviously there are different levels of severity. Some retinal tears might be relatively minor. Other retinal tears will be serious, but I can't help but wonder whether the terrible car accident that Errol Spence was in may have set the ball rolling, so to speak, for injuries like this. Because that car accident was so terrible, Errol Spence lost a number of teeth. His face was all scraped up, his lips were all mashed up, his eyes were all bloodshot in that crash. And sometimes when the body has been through such a traumatic event as that, the true physical toll may not be known immediately. It might be months or even years down the line when you fully realize how much damage it actually did. There may be hidden damage, you know? When you land on your face the way Spence did, get all your teeth knocked out. That might have caused some damage to the eyes, you know, loosen things up and so on. It's a possibility. I don't know. I'm just throwing possibilities out there. When he fought Danny Garcia, I was immensely impressed by the way he was able to come back from that terrible crash and handle Danny Garcia better than anybody else has handled him. But with that being said, by Errol Spence's own admission, he wasn't 100% in that fight. And he didn't look like the old Errol Spence in that fight. He was good enough to beat Danny Garcia and beat him well, beat him up really. But his movement looked weird to me. His body looked weird. His body looked as though his muscles had atrophied, meaning they'd deteriorated, they'd wasted. And he kind of looked, I don't know, a little bit off balance or something in that fight. He didn't look like the same guy that even fought Sean Porter. And again, Sean Porter, he wasn't at 100%, but that's mainly because of the way he was living outside the ring in between fights. All the drinking and, you know, up in the club, making it rain and all that kind of stuff. Yeah? That was more because of that. But the way his body was, his movement and all that kind of thing, prior to the crash, looked a lot better than post-crash. So anyway, maybe there's no link at all to the crash and this eye injury. Then again, maybe there is. Who knows? All I can say is I hope that Errol Spence makes a full and speedy recovery. But historically speaking, these type of injuries, these tissue injuries, particularly in an area as delicate as the eye, I have to be honest, they tend to reoccur. Yeah, they tend to reoccur. They tend to become a chronic problem because at the end of the day, you're getting punched in the face. You're getting punched in the eyes. So, like I say, man, I hope that this doesn't signal a downturn in Errol Spence's career because this is a very talented fighter. This is a guy who I've always wanted to see in there against the best of the best, the people like even Keith Thurman, maybe, even though he's, you know, not considered the best of the best anymore. I'd still like to see the fight. Certainly Terence Crawford. And of course, there was ambitions for Errol Spence to move up in weight, try and capture world titles at 154, maybe even 160. They used to talk about Errol Spence fighting Canelo Alvarez. Well, that is seeming less likely now after suffering an injury like this. And is this a sign of things to come? Will Errol Spence suffer more injuries moving forward as he goes through training camps? And the true extent of the damage from that car crash reveals itself over time. Is that what you're expecting? Or are you expecting this to just be a little minor blip in the road? Maybe it was a really tiny retinal tear, nothing too crazy, and it'll make a full, complete recovery from it. At the end of the day, he's had surgery apparently on the eye. You know, eye surgery. When people have eye surgery, Frank Bruno had eye surgery. Sugar Ray Leonard, I think he had eye surgery. His eye would never look the same afterwards. Anthony Ogogo, of course, had eye surgery, right? It forced him to retire. The eye is just such a delicate area. So anyway, I hope he comes through. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.